Okay, guys. So the affidavit has been released, and while there's not anything that is mind blowing, anything that is going to shake us to our cores, there is. Well, first, there's a lot of questions to ask. A lot of questions that come up because simply look how much of this has been redacted. We're currently on just page 7. This is really just the intro, kind of a description of the FBI agent who is sending this letter to the judge and why he thinks crimes have been committed. And then it just gets to redacted. I mean, the majority of this thing has been redacted. Redacted. We'll go through this, but I just wanted to just show you guys how much of this has been redacted. Redacted. We're still going. I think there's like 30 some odd pages, and redacted. And then conclusion. Just a few pages. Name of the agent, redacted, and then signed by Bruce Reinhardt, the judge who signed off on this affidavit and approved the search warrant. So really there's 3 parts of the affidavit. There's kind of the intro section of who the FBI agent is and why he thinks there's probable cause to conduct a search. And then he needs to explain what laws have been broken, why he thinks, again, there's probable cause that those laws have been broken and that they will find evidence that will support their theory. And then there's the evidence that they've gathered. And that's where that third part, the actual evidence, is where we see all of those redactions. And that's why, again, I think that there are now just so many questions to be raised, especially since right before this affidavit was released, news broke that this woman is a Ukrainian Russian-speaking imposter at Mar-a-Lago who was posing as Anna Rothschild to gain access to Mar-a-Lago, which she clearly did. This is her standing with Donald Trump and good old Lindsey Graham at the Mar-a-Lago golf course in May of 2021. The FBI is investigating this person as to what she accessed and who she accessed at the club. This is all just breaking today. This is not Anna de Rothschild, as you can see here. This is who she posed as, driving a $170,000 black Mercedes, wearing Rolex watches, designer clothes, talking about her father is thinking of building an F1 racetrack and high rises, and basically just conning all of the con artists at Mar-a-Lago. We have no idea what she accessed, what documents she could have accessed. We have no idea what her background is. We do know that she was involved with some pretty shady businesses who reporters then went to. They were actually shut down. Stripe is a company that deals with large financial transfers, and they were posing as a company, as a charity, and all of a sudden we're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations. Stripe then shut them down, or at least shut down their service to this fraudulent charity. And when reporters went to email and call the people who were supposedly donating to this charity, all of these Chinese email addresses just simply bounced back, indicating that they were fraudulent and designed to launder money. So this is all breaking right now. This Miss Yashishin, let's see if you guys can see that here on the screen. Miss Yashishin. She was posing as a Rothschild to gain access to Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. Fake passports, fake IDs, which she claims were created to harm her, to take her down. And actually, she was also being investigated in Canada for fraud. So this is all breaking, mind you. This is all breaking as we get this affidavit released. And again, with all those redactions, just so many questions are coming up. But one important thing about the affidavit is when right before they get to all these redactions, let's try to break this down here. So you see this Save America. Let's see if I can blow this up. This is the statement that Donald Trump's, supposedly from Donald Trump, but that Donald Trump wrote in response to NARA, the National Archives, receiving 15 boxes from Mar-a-Lago, going through them and finding that there was classified information, top secret information, intermixed in all these documents. And already alarm bells are going off at the National Archives, the Department of Justice, the FBI. And those alarm bells rang even louder when Donald Trump released a statement. The Save America Political Action Committee posted the following statement on behalf of F. POTUS. F. POTUS is former president of the United States. Quote, the National Archives did not find anything. They were given, upon request, presidential records in an ordinary and routine process to ensure the preservation of my legacy and in accordance with the Presidential Records Act. Now again, NARA had just received 15 boxes with hundreds of classified documents intermixed in these boxes. The worried, right, with who accessed them, why Donald Trump took them, why it took them so long to get these boxes. They received the boxes in 2022, the beginning of 2022. They had been making requests for almost a year at that point, because they had reports that there were moving trucks spotted, moving boxes of information into Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. And NARA had realized that documents were missing. So they had been requesting that these documents be returned. Trump returns 15 boxes, and documents are of the utmost classification. And Trump turns around within weeks and says, they didn't find anything. And actually, this is just, what were his exact words? Ordinary and routine process. The former president of the United States returning classified documents from a totally unsecure location is neither ordinary or routine. As a matter of fact, the New York Times actually had a post about how Barack Obama conducted himself after he left the White House. And he was trying to write his memoirs, and so he was trying to access documents. And it went something like this. All of the documents were transferred to essentially a vault in Chicago and Washington, D.C. Because remember, Barack Obama stayed in Washington, D.C. After he left the White House. I think because he wanted to stay for his daughter's education, and to be close to friends and family in D.C. But I think he was splitting his time in between D.C. and Chicago. So essentially, all of these documents for Barack Obama were left in a massive vault. And if he wanted to access these documents, his aides would then put in a precise request saying, we would like to look at this. I'm assuming it would be, we will have it for this many hours, this many days. And then those documents would either be loaded onto a laptop and encrypted so that Barack Obama could access them and his aides could access them. His aides were cleared, right, by the way. Or they were hand-delivered to him in a locked bag. And that bag had to be locked when they were delivered back to the vault. So, you want to talk about ordinary and routine. That's ordinary and routine. Donald Trump holding boxes at a storage closet in Mar-a-Lago is nowhere near routine. And that's essentially what the affidavit breaks down is, documents were requested. NARA got them back. Turns out there were high levels of classification in those documents. Donald Trump then turned around and said, nope, nothing to see here. Totally ordinary. And NARA and the FBI are looking around going, like, wait, why are you saying that? Right? This is, you broke the law. So, of course, what are you hiding? And that's what this FBI agent had to go and convince Judge Reinhardt that, we know there are documents missing. We know he's turned over boxes of documents. We know that the missing documents were very similar to the documents that were returned, but mixed in with all these boxes. We need to go in and we need to find out what he still has. Now, it doesn't get into, Donald Trump actually turning anything over to foreign agents or having foreign agents access these documents. But again, story of Anna Rothschild, Miss Yashishin, posing as Anna Rothschild to gain access to Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago is breaking at the same time. So the FBI, again, is still trying to figure out. Turn up the sound. All right, Nora. Thanks, guys. Hopefully that's a little better. Can y'all hear me? Awesome. Sorry, I get so kind of just wrapped up in the filming. Yeah, so well, hopefully you guys could hear me. Oh man, extremely quiet. You guys have been saying this for a long time. Apologies, guys. Yeah, so it's kind of strange here because I'm dealing with a separate software for these live streams. So the affidavit again just raises so many questions, way more than it does answer them, and this is really just Merrick Garland's way of fighting back, pushing back against Donald Trump and his lies in the media that he somehow had the right to these documents, that this is all just routine and ordinary. And yeah, the real Bill P talking about the Chinese spy. There were two women who actually were arrested for having fake identification at Mar-a-Lago. They were arrested, but only faced, I think, months of jail. They weren't sent back to China. But again, it's just a reminder, whether or not this Yashishin Rothschild woman or those two Chinese spies, those two women who were using fake identities to gain access to Mar-a-Lago, even if they didn't access the documents, which, looking at it and seeing how big of a con man Donald Trump is and how much he hates the United States, it's likely they did see these documents. But even if they didn't, it's still a reminder of just how unsecure that place was and is today. The affidavit also goes into, discussing the fact that there is still an investigation ongoing as to the potential damage that's been done by having these documents in such an unsecure location. So, I want to see the redacted part. I mean, it's just it's the majority of the write-up of the affidavit. This is just a brief section talking about moving trucks were spotted at Mar-a-Lago on January 18th. And I mean, that's the start of it, right? Moving trucks spotted at Mar-a-Lago. This is just the FBI saying, this is it. This is when the documents got there. That's all we can tell you. Redacted. This looks like an image. Right? Might have been. I mean, who knows? We could speculate all day as to what that is. Another part here, Section 39. On or about May 6, 2021, NARA made a request for the missing PRA records and continued to make requests until approximately late December 2021, nearly a year, when NARA was informed 12 boxes were found and ready for retrieval at the premises. So, I mean, what does that indicate? 12 boxes were found and ready for retrieval at the premises. Who found those boxes? Were there agents in Mar-a-Lago at the time, like just poking around, or was this found by an informant? When NARA was informed, 12 boxes were found and ready for retrieval at the premises. I mean, is that Trump's lawyers? And then boom, redacted. The 15 boxes provided to NARA contain classified information. Section 47. From May 16th to the 18th, 2022, FBI agents conducted a preliminary review of the 15 boxes provided to NARA and identified documents with the classification markings in 14 of the 15 boxes. A preliminary triage of the documents with classification markings revealed the following approximate numbers: 184 unique documents bearing classification markings, including 67 documents marked as confidential, 92 documents marked as secret, and 25 documents marked as top secret. Further, the FBI agents observed markings reflecting the following compartments' dissemination controls: HCS, FISA, ORCON, NOFORN, and SI. Based on my training experience, I know that documents classified at these levels typically contain NDI. Several of the documents also contained what appears to be Trump's handwritten notes. Now, that's Section 47, so we'll go back to that because in the beginning, this agent lays out the terms that he would be using throughout the affidavit. And let's see if I can find a breakdown of those terms here. Okay, here we go. So SCI, sensitive compartmented information, means classified information concerning or derived from intelligence sources, methods, or analytical processes which is required to be handled within formal access control systems. Section 12, Special Intelligence, or SI, is a control system designed to protect technical and intelligence information derived from the monitoring of foreign communication signals by other than intended recipients. The SI control system protects SI-derived information and information relating to SI activities, capabilities, techniques, processes, and procedures. Still can barely hear me, huh? I mean, let's see if I can just push this mic up here. Hopefully that's better. It shows that I'm peaking in my audio, so I've got my mic turned up all the way. I've got let's see if I can try to boost this a little bit here. Okay, cool, Brad. Yeah, I just don't want to blow your guys' ears out. Okay, so the SI control system protects SI-derived information and information relating to SI activities, special intelligence activities, capabilities, techniques, processes, and procedures. So, I mean, we're talking about spy systems here and how they're handled and why Donald Trump would need that information, why he would have that at Mar-a-Lago when, again, I don't know if I was audible when I was talking about how Barack Obama is handling or handled documents after his administration, after he left the White House. But essentially, those documents were locked into a vault, and if his aides wanted to look at them, they could just simply request them, and they'd be delivered to them on an encrypted laptop, or they would be hand-delivered. If they were paper documents, they would be hand-delivered in a locked bag. And again, this just goes to how screwed Donald Trump is and how guilty he is because these documents are very easy to access if it's him. They would put a vault in Florida, in Mar-a-Lago, so that he could access this stuff, so that they could hand deliver it to him. Why did he feel the need to have these in boxes in a storage room? Oh, that's right, because Mar-a-Lago is an unsecure location in which he could wheel and deal basically how we conduct operations, our military operations. I mean, if we just zoom out, that's exactly what's happening here. And that's I think the really important thing that people need to understand is that it is so easy for Donald Trump to access this information in the right way, right? Store it in a vault right next to Mar-a-Lago. Have the responsible parties securely maintain those documents. And if Donald Trump wants to access them, he can do it essentially whenever he wanted to. Just write him a note. Call him. Hey, I want this. Bring it over. Uber Eats it to me. FBI Eats. FBI Docs. It's the new deliver service. Okay, so there's more acronyms to break down here. HUMINT. HUMINT control system, or HCS, is an SCI-controlled system designed to protect intelligence information derived from clandestine human sources, commonly referred to as human intelligence. Let's see. I want to put this on the screen here. The HCSC control system protects human intelligence-derived information and information relating to human intelligence activities, capabilities, techniques, processes, and procedures. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, is a dissemination control designed to protect intelligence information derived from the collection of information authorized under the FISA Act by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or FISC. Again, Donald, man, why do you have these documents? Classified information may be marked as not resealable to foreign nationals, governments, U.S. citizens, abbreviated no foreign, to indicate information that may not be released in any form to foreign governments, foreign nationals, foreign organizations, or non-U.S. citizens without permission of the originator. Classified information may be marked as originator controlled, abbreviated ORCON. This marking indicates the dissemination beyond pre-approved U.S. entities requires originator approval. Classified information of any designation may be shared only with persons determined by an appropriate United States government official to be eligible for access and who possess a need to know. Among other requirements, in order for a person to obtain a security clearance allowing that person access to classified United States government information, that person is required to and must agree to properly protect classified information by not disclosing such information to persons not entitled to receive it. By not unlawfully removing classified information from authorized storage facilities, and by not storing classified information in unauthorized locations. If a person is not eligible to receive classified information may not be disclosed to that person. In order for a foreign government to receive access to classified information, the originating United States agency must determine that such release is appropriate. Yeah, so the idea that, Donald Trump just gets to declassify everything and he can do with it as he pleases is, again, like dictator talk, fascist talk. The entire point of the United States, Don, is that one man doesn't just get to call the shots. Especially when it comes to our secrets. And again, Donald, why do you have information like this? Why do you have this stuff at Mar-a-Lago? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so those are the abbreviations that will kind of give us an idea of what NARA found in those boxes in the beginning of 2022, a year after they'd been making requests. And then boom, more redactions. Then we get to section 52, where it looks like the first sentence is redacted. In the second such letter, which is attached as Exhibit 1, F. POTUS counsel asked DOJ to consider a few principles, which include Trump's counsel's claim that a president has absolute authority to declassify documents. In this letter, Trump's counsel requested, among other things, that the Department of Justice provide this letter to any judicial officer who is asked to rule on any motion pertaining to this investigation, or on any application made in connection with any investigative request concerning this investigation. I am aware of an article, section 53. I'm aware of an article published in Breitbart on May 5th, 2022, available at this location, which states that Kash Patel, who is described as a former top Trump administration official, characterized as misleading reports in other news organizations that NARA had found classified materials among records that Trump provided to NARA from Mar-a-Lago. Patel alleged that such reports were misleading because Trump had declassified the materials at issue, which he hadn't. And again, the FBI is saying here, Trump again has his goons, this Kash Patel kid, out there lying to the American public, saying that, oh, those reports that NARA found classified information, that's wrong. That's a lie. And we just went over the 300 some documents that were found to be classified. Again, just the hairs on the back of these FBI agents' necks standing up whenever they're literally looking at the boxes, looking at the classified information. And on TV, you have Donald Trump and his lawyers and his political action committee and Kash Patels running around saying, oh, no. Nothing to see here. Donald Trump is so screwed. I mean, I guess that's, not only do the redacted parts of this raise so many questions, but it also just focuses your attention on Donald Trump. Be like, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? I mean, it has to come out. His connections with either a foreign government, foreign agents, hopefully the FBI can put this all together and we can go after this guy. Yeah, I mean, this is bad. And a lot of the unredacted parts of the letter are about the actual search and the locations. So let's get into that. Section 61, put it up on the screen here. On June 8th, 2022, Department of Justice counsel sent Trump's lawyers a letter which reiterated that the premises are not authorized to store classified information, and requested the preservation of the storage room and boxes that had been moved from the White House to the premises being Mar-a-Lago. Specifically, the letter stated, in relevant part, as I previously indicated to you, Mar-a-Lago does not include a secure location authorized for the storage of classified information. As such, it appears that since the time classified documents, just big redaction, were removed from the secure facilities at the White House and moved to Mar-a-Lago on or around January 20th, 2021, they have not been handled in an appropriate manner or stored in an appropriate location. Accordingly, we ask that the room at Mar-a-Lago where the documents had been stored be secured, and that all of the boxes that were moved from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, along with any other items in that room, be preserved in that room in their current condition until further notice. Now, it's been reported that after that letter was sent, that Trump moved around these boxes. Now, we don't have any evidence of that because we're still waiting for the surveillance footage of the Mar-a-Lago storage room. And then, boom, just more and more redactions. More and more redactions. Okay, and here we go. We're getting to what's outside of that storage room, or at least the different locations. Based upon this investigation, I believe that the storage room, Trump's residential suite, Pine Hall, the 45 office, and other spaces within the premises are not currently authorized locations for the storage of classified information, or NDI. Similarly, based upon this investigation, I do not believe that any spaces within the premises have been authorized for the storage of classified information, at least since the end of Trump's presidential administration on January 20th, 2021. The affidavit seeks authorization to search the 45 office and all storage rooms and any other rooms or locations where boxes or records may be stored within the premises. As further described in Attachment A, the premises is currently closed to club members for the summer. However, as specified in Attachment A, if at that time of the search there are areas of the premises being occupied, rented, or used by third parties and not otherwise used or available to be used by Trump and his staff, the search would not include such areas. Conclusion. Based on the foregoing facts and circumstances, I submit that probable cause exists to believe that evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of these codes will be found at the premises. Further, I submit that this affidavit supports probable cause for a warrant to search the premises described in Attachment A and seize the items described in Attachment B. Request for sealing. It is respectfully requested that this court issue an order sealing until further order of the court all papers submitted in support of this application, including the application and search warrant. I believe that sealing this document is necessary because the items and information to be seized are relevant to an ongoing investigation, and the FBI has not yet identified all potential criminal confederates, nor located all evidence related to its investigation. Premature disclosure of the contents of this affidavit and related documents may have a significant and negative impact on the continuing investigation and may severely jeopardize its effectiveness by allowing criminal parties an opportunity to flee, destroy evidence stored electronically and otherwise, change patterns of behavior, and notify criminal confederates. I mean, that right there is pretty big, because if the FBI is saying that they can't unseal this affidavit because it will impact their investigation, then does that mean the investigation has pretty much come to a close and that they're ready to pounce? And that's what that says to me. How could you possibly release this affidavit if it meant that such an enormous investigation into a former president effectively committing treason, if it would impact that, if it could end that early enough to deem it ineffective, that would be far too dangerous to do. So the fact that they've released this affidavit might mean more than what's just in the affidavit when it comes to this investigation. It's also interesting to note this is the one of the final sections. Search procedures for handling potential attorney-client privileged information. The following procedures will be followed at the time of the search in order to protect against disclosures of attorney-client privileged material. Meaning, there's material that Donald Trump had that the FBI shouldn't see. And so, or that the FBI, not that they shouldn't see, but that they shouldn't be in possession of. And so this will go into detail as to how they were going to keep those documents away from the FBI. Section 81. Can you guys see that? Yeah. These procedures will be executed by A, law enforcement personnel conducting this investigation, the case team, and B, law enforcement personnel not participating in the investigation of the matter, who will search the 45 office and be available to assist in the event that a procedure involving potentially attorney-client privileged information is required. And this will be the privilege review team. Section 82. The case team will be responsible for searching the target premises, the premises that this judge is going to sign off and give the FBI access to with the search warrant. However, the privilege review team will search the 45 office and conduct a review of the seized materials from the 45 office to identify and segregate documents or data containing potentially attorney-client privileged information. If the privilege review team determines the documents or data are not potentially attorney-client privileged, they will be provided to the law enforcement personnel assigned to the investigation. If at any point the law enforcement personnel assigned to the investigation subsequently identify any data or documents that they consider may be potentially attorney-client privileged, they will cease the review of such identified data or documents and refer the materials to the privilege review team for further review by the privilege review team. If the privilege that's a mouthful, sorry. If the privilege review team determines that documents are potentially attorney-client privileged or merit further consideration in that regard, a privilege review team attorney may do any of the following: apply ex parte to the court for a determination whether or not the documents contain attorney-client privilege material, or B, defer seeking court intervention and continue to keep the documents inaccessible to law enforcement personnel assigned to the investigation, or C, disclose the documents to the potential privilege holder. Request the privilege holder to state whether the potential privilege holder asserts attorney-client privilege as to any documents, including requesting a particularized privilege log, and seek a ruling from the court regarding any attorney-client privilege claims as to which the privilege review team and the privilege holder cannot reach an agreement. And boom, that's the end of it. Now, what that says is that all this talk, all these lies from Donald Trump saying that his attorneys weren't allowed there and they were told that they absolutely could not be there, is nonsense. That there were two specialized teams that went in trying to get the right information, the right documents that were warranted under this search warrant. And then there was a privilege review team who weren't part of the investigation, who these agents who were part of the investigation could go to and say, hey, we have this document. It looks like it could pertain to our investigation. What do you think? And the privilege review team could say, no, that's clearly attorney-client privilege. That's what they're trained to do. Or they would take it to Donald Trump's lawyers and say, do you want to assert your attorney-client privilege with this? So the idea that, Donald Trump was just kept from everything and, he's just the victim here. It was all just ordinary and routine. These are his documents. It's all just, again, debunked with this affidavit. And this affidavit strengthens Merrick Garland's case that this was all done by the book. Clearly, all done by the book. More than 30 pages explaining how it was. Now, the redactions, that's where I think we're getting into who could have possibly looked at these materials. And I think hopefully one day we'll be able to see these redactions. I'm guessing it'll be after the investigation concludes. So hopefully we'll see that sooner than later. And we've got to also hope that the release of this affidavit doesn't hurt the FBI investigation that is ongoing, but that hopefully will be unaffected by this. So this really just pushes back against Donald Trump's, all of his lies, his fake narrative that he's just this victim. When again, I just want to say it again. It would have been so easy for him to have a secured vault down at Mar-a-Lago if he would have requested it, or in a facility adjacent to Mar-a-Lago, just like they did with Barack Obama. He had a secured facility in Chicago, in which he had these documents that he could request at any time. And they would put them on a secure laptop. They would hand deliver them in locked bags whenever he wanted. So why does Donald Trump have top secret information at an this unsecure location? Donald Trump, you look so guilty. And you are guilty. Of course you are. Now, you're guilty, of course, of the crimes of mishandling top secret documents, which was laid out in the beginning. In the beginning here, Section 1. The government is conducting a criminal investigation concerning the improper removal and storage of classified information in an unauthorized space, as well as the unlawful concealment or removal of government records. The investigation began as a result of a referral to the United States National Archives and Records Administration sent to the United States Department of Justice on February 9th, 2022. The NARA referral stated that on January 18th, 2022, in accordance with the Presidential Records Act, NARA received from the office of former President Donald J. Trump 15 boxes of records. The 15 boxes, which had been transported from Trump's property, Mar-a-Lago, further described in Attachment A, were reported by NARA to contain, among other things, highly classified documents intermingled with other records. And that you broke the law, Don. Whew. Yeah, so NARA, he had no right to keep those papers after he left office. Yeah, no right to keep them, and also there was a secure system set up that if he ever wanted to access them, he could. But no, he needed documents that he could sell and trade and barter to foreign governments. That's the only way that this makes any sense, especially when we're talking about the documents pertaining to how we collect information and our surveillance systems. Just doesn't make sense, Don. It will be released when indictments are served. At that point, the defense gets an unredacted copy. Yeah, I mean, so Bill P., like, are we thinking that the FBI is still conducting this investigation, or do we think that maybe next week indictments will come down? I can't imagine this affidavit being released when the investigation is 2/3 of the way through, or, I mean, if the investigation isn't complete. And so that's where it's okay. So it would be the logical next step for the FBI to, because of Donald Trump's, all the lies that Donald Trump has been spouting over the past, since the search, about how he did nothing wrong, and the FBI, they're the corrupt ones. Well, this again is pushing back on that, but it needs to be done in a responsible way, right? Yeah, Real Bill P. talking about the casket. I've heard theories about that. I haven't. Have you seen photos or videos of? I mean, I would say, if he's trying to hide something in the casket, like, I'm more concerned with him selling this information to Russians, to Saudis. I wonder if we could do, use like a scanner. You know how like on boats there's scanners of like the ocean floor. I wonder if like a scanner over the grave would reveal something, without having to dig up a casket. Cool. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to go run back through the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I mean, this is a pretty monumental day, pretty monumental event going on here. Yeah, a lot of the comments are just like, Brendan, we can't hear you. Okay, let's check back in with the New York Times and see what their experts have to say. Yeah, Senator Mark Warner, saying that it indicates, it's just a reminder of the sensitive information. And I think that is probably one of the most important parts of the affidavit that was released is again, like I was saying, the surveillance systems that those documents pertain to, why those documents why Trump had anything to do, had documents pertaining to our surveillance. Donald Trump talking about how they're my documents. He wants his lawyers to return what's mine, he says recently. Wow. Okay, so here are the codes. Section 19 through 23. Let's see here. Okay. Section 32 CFR, parts 2001, 2003 regulate the handling of classified information, specifically 2001.43 titled Storage regulates the physical protection of classified information. This section prescribes that secret and top secret information, quote, shall be stored in an approved security container, a vault built to federal standard, or an open storage area constructed in accordance with 2001.53, unquote. It also requires periodic inspection of the container and the use of an intrusion detecting system, among other things. Wow. So the vault that they built for Obama and Bush and Clinton, I'm assuming, undergoes inspections to make sure that no one can get inside. No one can see these things. Under 18 U.S.C. 1519, whoever knowingly alters, destroys, mutilates, conceals, covers up, falsifies, or makes a false entry in any record, document, or tangible object with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence the investigation or proper administration of any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States or any case filed under Title 11 or in relation to or contemplation of any such matter or case shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. Section 21. Under 18 U.S.C. 2071, A, whoever willfully, let's see, I'm going to put this up on the screen here. Whoever willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys or attempts to do so, or with intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other filing, filed or deposited with any clerk or office of any court of the United States or in any public office or with any judicial or public officer in the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. And part B of that. Whoever having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing, willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. As used in this subsection, the term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer of the armed forces of the United States. So again, that's something else that we really haven't talked about here today, but the result of this could ultimately mean that Donald Trump is not allowed to run for office. He'll be barred from running for the presidency, which is a very real possibility here. Part 22 of the affidavit, under the PRA 44 U.S.C. 2201, the term presidential records, let's see if I can put this up on the screen here. There we go. Make it a little bigger for you guys to see. The term presidential records means documentary materials or any reasonably segregable portion thereof created or received by the president, the president's immediate staff, or a unit or individual of the executive office of the president whose function is to advise or assist the president in the course of conducting activities which relate to or have an effect upon the carrying out of the constitutional, statutory, or other official or ceremonial duties of the president. Such term, A, includes any documentary materials relating to the political activities of the president or members of the president's staff, but only if such activities relate to or have a direct effect upon the carrying out of constitutional, statutory, or other official or ceremonial duties of the president, but does not include any documentary materials that are official records of an agency, as defined in Section 552 of Title V, United States Code. 2, personal records. 3, stocks of publications and stationery. 4, extra copies of documents produced only for convenience of reference when such copies are clearly so identified. Section 23. Under 44 U.S.C. 3301, government records are defined as all recorded information, regardless of form or characteristics, made or received by federal agency under federal law or in connection with the transaction of public business and preserved or appropriate for preservation by that agency or its legitimate successor as evidence of the organization, functions, policies, decisions, procedures, operations, or other activities of the United States government, or because of the informational value of data in them. And then we go back to, this is the probable cause and then the National Archives and Records referral, saying that Donald Trump had very concerning documents in the boxes that were returned to NARA. And again, you just got to ask yourself why. How do we know he didn't already copy some of those documents? I mean, that's what's being investigated right now. And I think that's what they're really going to try to determine with the security footage. I think that was critical in all of this. So yeah, I mean, again, just there's so many questions with all this redacted material in the affidavit. I was hoping for something more damning. I mean, this is what they laid out, about the documents pertaining to our surveillance systems is pretty damning. Pretty damning for Donald Trump. The fact that he was lying about how routine this all was. When we understand that the FBI and the Department of Justice and the National Archives would go to great lengths to make it very easy for Donald Trump to access these materials. And the fact that Donald Trump not only kept hundreds of pages of documents, but hundreds of pages of highly classified documents pertaining to our surveillance systems is deeply concerning. And I'm hoping that the release of this affidavit doesn't affect the investigation. And hopefully indictments will come later this week. So there you have it. That's the affidavit, folks. We've pretty much gone over the letters NARA sent. We've gone over the lies from Kash Patel. We've gone over the different areas of Mar-a-Lago that they wanted to search. And we've gone over how they conducted it. How there were two teams, one responsible for one being the investigative team and the other being the privilege review team, who would take these documents to Donald Trump's lawyers. Again, going against what Donald Trump said, that his lawyers had no say in what was happening. That was a lie. The FBI making its case here that this was all done by the book. So I'm happy with this. I'm happy with the affidavit release because there's still a lot. There's still a lot that we're yet to find out what, that we still don't know. So this is good. This is good so far. It is, let's see, here on the West Coast, it is a little past 11. So this was released a couple hours ago, and I don't have a Truth Social account, but I'd be curious to see what's going on. Real Bill P brought up a good point about fingerprints. I'm sure that there are a lot of methods in the redacted portion of this that talks about this entire section. There's probable cause to believe that documents containing classified NDI and presidential records remain at the premises. That entire section is blocked out. Except for the fact that this 45 storeroom, the 45 office. So how do they know? What have they seen? What evidence do they have? And that's probably from surveillance. Let's go to see if there's any other titles of the sections that have been redacted here. I'm pretty sure it was just all like probable cause stuff. Man. Yeah, just the 15 boxes provided to NARA contain classified information. Yep. Provision of the 15 boxes to NARA. Boxes containing documents were transported to the White House, Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. And this is really kind of what set it all off. What, like I said, raised the hairs on the back of the FBI agents' necks is when they had the boxes returned from Mar-a-Lago. There were hundreds of classified documents, and days later, Donald Trump releases a statement saying, "Nope, they didn't find anything. It's all routine. None of this is routine. This is all highly suspicious, Donald." So the next thing that's going to come out is who had access to these documents. Sure, right now it looks like, oh, hey, we're just investigating these documents, and like they're in an unsecure location. But the number of redactions on this page, and the fact that the investigation is still ongoing, and the fact that this ends by specifically saying that there's an investigation ongoing, it's not looking good for Donald. I'm going to get to work on more videos, including, let's see, what do I have to talk about today? Let's see here. I was putting a list together. Fox News editing out Joe Biden's response after he announced the student debt relief, and Kayleigh McEnany being the one to do it when she's the speaker of all truths, according to her. That's one of the videos. There's a few more. Okay, here we go. There's insane videos of flooding in Pakistan. There's what looked like a young man who sparked a massive fire in a matter of seconds because he was curious about some packaging. That video was insane. Jared Kushner lying about Trump and Russia. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to sue MSNBC. So quite a few videos that I'm going to try to piece together and get on, if not just a couple of them. But yeah, thank you so much, Nora and Real BP. Thank you guys for your comments. Everybody else who was watching in the beginning when my microphone was so low, apologize about that. And I will see you guys in the comments of the next videos. Thank you again for watching and subscribing.